Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see you on YouTube channel, but not here in Teams meeting. Is it okay? Okay.
Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us here at the South Florida Power BI user group. My name is Adriano da Silva. I will be your host today. And today we have with us, okay, we have Nikola Ilic, and he comes and join us to be part of the Power BI International Series. And we will be, having another great presentation where you're going to learn about the visuals and integrate it into your Power BI report on a very easy and simple manner. So here you have on the screen is Nikola Ilic, and tell us a bit about you, Nikola.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Adriano, for the introduction, and congratulations, you pronounced my name very good. Okay, so hi, everybody. Good afternoon and good evening if someone listening from Central Europe, where I'm also located. So it's 10 p.m. here. So I hope you're all doing fine, and I also wanted to welcome you to South Florida Power BI user group meeting. And at the very beginning, I would like to thank to South Florida Power BI user group, Adriano da Silva and Intellinsight for inviting me to present for you today. It's really my pleasure to be here with you. And yeah, I believe that we will have fun while learning Power BI.
Very excited. Tell us a little bit about what you like the most about Power BI and what draw you to it.
Well, the most I like about Power BI is that it's the tool that gives you infinite possibility to be creative, to tell the story in multiple different ways. So it's just implementing some simple tricks, some neat techniques, and you can easily build wonderful reports which will your users appreciate, and that's the thing I most appreciate at Power BI. Yeah.
Awesome. And so today we'll be covering here primarily the Magnificent Seven simple tricks to boost your Power BI report. So
Exactly.
tell us a little bit about the presentation and how did you come about it?
Yeah, well, the presentation is full of demos, as you would see. It consists of 7 simple tricks, but very powerful. So you can literally implement any of those tricks in a few minutes, some of them in a few seconds, and you can achieve some really, really awesome stuff with those simple tricks. And I believe that those 7 techniques or tricks, whatever you like to call it, can really boost your Power BI development, your day-to-day Power BI development. So you can implement it virtually in multiple different scenarios. And that was the idea, to bring those small tricks, short tricks, quick tricks, so nothing complicated, you know, and using those tricks to improve your productivity with Power BI.
Great. So without further ado, let's get started, Nikola. So it's all you there, okay?
Thanks, Adriano. Thanks. So I will share my screen now. Okay, hope that you can see my screen now. And yeah, let's get started. So as Adriano mentioned, it's Magnificent 7 simple tricks to boost your Power BI development. Okay, so just before we start, let me just briefly introduce myself. As Adriano said, my name is Nikola Ilic. I'm originally from Belgrade, Serbia, but since last 4 years, I live in a beautiful city of Salzburg in Austria. And that's the reason why I've chosen my nickname, Data Mozart, as Salzburg is worldly known as the birthplace of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. So I was brave enough to use his last name as part of my nickname. And that's, in fact, why my motto is make music from your data. I'm regularly blogging at data-mozart.com. I'm also pretty active on LinkedIn and Twitter, so feel free to connect if you like or ping me if you need something. A few more sentences about me. I have a multiple year experience working with data products, predominantly with Microsoft Data Platform. Started with SQL Server and then brushed myself with analysis services, multidimensional, integration services, reporting services, and most recently, if you consider last 3 years as recent, with Power BI. And I'm a big fan of Power BI. Privately, I'm a father of 2 kids and true football and Barca fan, as you can notice from the picture. Let's start with prerequisites. Well, this is a 100-level session, which means introductory level. But honestly, I would say that it's maybe 150 sessions, so some basic knowledge and experience with Power BI can come in handy, but by no means you are in trouble if you've never used Power BI before. Most of the topics relate to visualization techniques, so I think walking through the session with no programming background will be completely fine. As I said, no Power BI experience is needed, but it would obviously help. And the most important thing for the people who were asking themselves if they can walk through the session without understanding any DAX, yes, of course. So don't leave the session because of lack of DAX knowledge. We will use DAX in some examples, but it will be on a really basic level so everyone can understand what we are doing. In any case, if someone doesn't understand, feel free to ask a question and I will try to answer the best I can. I planned to, because there are 7 demos during the session, I plan to make short break after the 3rd demo for your questions, so you can ask or prepare questions for those first 3 topics, and then we can continue until the end. And after we finish the 7th demo, feel free to ask all of your questions. I will try to answer the best I can. Okay, so here we are and ready to kick off the real fun. This is a sneak peek into agenda. We will talk about dynamic filtering, then about how to display totals in a stacked column visual. Then we will see how to use tooltip pages and, as a bonus tip, animated tooltip page. Then I will show you how you can turn a plain old matrix visual to a custom-like visual. Then we will build a slicer pane using bookmarks. After that, we will use buttons to create drill-through actions and dynamically switch between drill-through pages. And finally, we will learn how to push static card visuals to a new level and create dynamic visuals using bookmarks again. So first topic is dynamic filtering in Power BI, and the problem we are trying to solve here is that we want to give our users a possibility to dynamically choose what they want to see in the report. Or to be more specific, they should be able to switch between different measures on the same visual in most effective way. Well, and the first solution that came to my mind while trying to solve this problem was to play around with the buttons and bookmarks. But then I thought, what if my users in the future wish to expand on this and include some additional measures? I mean, it's easy when you need to provide selection between 2 or maybe 3 choices, but things quickly become more complex if you opt to use bookmarks and need to increase the number of possible outcomes. So therefore, even if I love bookmarks, I discarded them as a solution here, since I thought that it would create real headache when it comes to maintenance. So now I will show you much more flexible solution which can be created pretty quick, and what is more important, can be also quickly upgraded to support additional similar requests. And that means that we are getting flexibility and scalability in one solution. So who doesn't want that? Okay, enough talking. So let's head over to Power BI desktop. It's showtime. Okay, so I already prepared some basic stuff, as you can see, and I also created a few simple measures to start from. And before I proceeded, just to mention a few things, I know that we all like things that are automatically created for us, and Power BI is pretty good in it. But without going any deeper now, I would just say that you should avoid using implicit measures whenever possible and create explicit measures instead. So I already created 2 measures here in our fact table. I will zoom it a little bit so you can follow easier. So it's sales amount and sales amount year to date. I will now show you those measures. So sales amount is just a simple sum over sales amount column, and sales amount year to date uses calculate function over this newly created measure sales amount, and built-in DAX function dates year to date, which will calculate the running totals. So I will now drag those measures to a table just to check if everything works as expected. As you can see here, I think you can see here. So here in this column, we have sales amount broken down on month level. And here we have sales amount running totals displayed. So all previous months values are being aggregated. Okay, so that looks good. I will now remove that. And first thing I need to do is to create a new table in order to enable our users to make their selections. So this table I will call calculation time frame, and I will need 2 columns, ID and period. ID is just, it's not necessary, but it's here in case you need to order your columns in different way than alphabetically. So I have monthly and I have year to date. Okay, now I will load this to a data model. Just a few seconds. Okay, it's here. And now I will create a new measure within this table. And I'll call it selected time frame. And it equals min, so we're using min function of calculation time frame ID. Okay, so basically this measure will return minimum ID value of the user selection. In case that no value is selected, the measure will return ID1 by default, which is monthly in our case. And now stick with me, here is where the real magic happens. So far we have captured user selection, but it's still in some way disconnected from our existing data model. So let's see how we can put user selection to the context of the whole data model. I'm going back to my fact table, and I will create a new measure, which I will call sales amount selected. And I will use switch function, and I want to return selected time frame. And now if it's number 1, so if ID is number 1, return me sales amount. Okay, and if it's number 2, return me sales amount year to date. Oops, sorry. Okay, for the sake of proper naming, when you are using measures as a reference, best cases, best practices to remove the table prefix. Okay, that's our measure. And let me stop here for a second and explain what is so special about this measure. It takes ID value from user selection, and based on that value, it will display respective calculation with help of switch function. In simple words, if user chooses ID1, which is monthly, I want to return sales amount value. If he chooses number 2, which is year to date, return me sales amount year to date. And final thing we need to do is to create a slicer, which will enable users to select basically what they want to see. So I will put here period value, and I'll just format it a little bit to look nicer. So I like to use horizontal slicers for these cases. Okay, and now let's drag our sales amount selected measure to a table. As you can see, by default we have monthly value, so sales amount is broken down on month level. But as soon as I click on year to date, it changes and showing me running totals. I'm clicking again on monthly, and it goes back to show me values per month. Okay, so this was basically just a simple example of using this technique, but you can virtually implement it in multiple different scenarios, and I'm sure it will work like a charm. Okay, going back to presentation. Number 2, displaying totals in stacked column chart visual. Well, the main problem here is that by default, there is no possibility to display totals in a stacked column chart visual. And since the stacked column chart is one of the most common used visuals in Power BI, and I really faced many use cases in the past, so we needed to apply various workarounds in order to somehow achieve what should be a normal outcome, in my opinion. So what we were doing, we were creating 2 visuals, overlaying one another and playing then with transparency settings in order to make them work as totals on the top of the stacked column chart. And I must admit that it was really awkward and painful for development. But huge things sometimes happen by accident, and that's exactly what happened to me here. So I was working on a Power BI report and simply needed to use stacked column chart visual to properly articulate some numbers to my users. And I was mentally preparing for another round of painful development, but then all of a sudden solution came out of nowhere, literally. So I already had on report canvas a simple line visual, which had data labels turned on. And that is quite important, that data labels were turned on. So while looking at the report, I've started to click up and down on the stroke width property within shapes under formatting pane, and I managed to click all the way down to 0. So I thought that this value must be in any case greater than 0, but it appeared that I was wrong. And luckily I was wrong, you will see why. So what happened, the line just disappeared and data labels values were still there. So basically that gave me an idea to try something with this bug or a feature, call it whatever you like, to solve my original problem. So enough talk, let's switch over to Power BI Desktop to see how this works in reality. Okay, so here I already created nice stack column chart, as you see, which displays sales amount per month and broken down by product class. So I'll show you here. So deluxe, economy, and regular. Okay, so first thing we need to do to switch to line and stacked column chart. So we switched the type of our visual, and then I will drag this sales amount measure into line values. So basically we have it twice in our visual, once here for column values and once here for line values. Just for the sake of clarity, I will rename it here to total, so we know what we need to format later. Then we go to formatting pane, going to shapes. That's the thing I mentioned previously, and this, you see this stroke width, I will just enter 0 and my line disappeared. Okay, so a few more things needs to be done here. In the data labels, we are going to customize series and choose to customize our total value. This is important. I will switch this position to above, and basically this way I will be secure that in any case, whatever the size of my data bars is, my totals will be shown above the data bar, so on the top, and that's what we are trying to achieve here. So a little more formatting here if you like. I want to show background, and let's switch, I don't know, to white. I mean, basically you can play around and format it whatever you like, but as you see, yeah, we literally few clicks and under 1 minute we managed to achieve the same functionality for which we needed, believe me, few hours before. So yeah, as I often like to say, Power BI is full of hidden gems, and sometimes you find them after long research, and sometimes they appear simply by an accident, like in this case. Okay, hopefully that people from Microsoft don't remove this bug in the future. Okay, going back to presentation, we are at topic number 3 already. Okay, so I would like to show you now some neat techniques on how you can enhance your report using tooltip pages. Well, first of all, I have to say that I really consider Power BI as an awesome tool because as I mentioned in the beginning of the session, it gives you flexibility to tell the data story in multiple different ways. And it's really about your creativity, and with little tweaking here and there, you can give your users much better insight into the underlying data. And they will appreciate that, I assure you. So tooltips are quite useful feature in Power BI report. And by default, when you hover over a visual, like in this case here, see, let's say this data bar, you will see numbers for that specific portion of data. But what happens when default is not good enough, or when we want to give our users better insights into underlying data with just hovering over data bars? So again, enough talk, let's head over to Power BI desktop. Okay, so here I've already prepared our two tooltip pages in advance, so we don't waste time building everything from scratch. But I promise I will walk you through all the necessary steps for building tooltip page. Okay, first step is to create a new report page. So we're clicking on this small plus sign here. And then we need to do a few things. First, under page size, I will zoom it a little bit so you can better follow what I'm doing. Instead of this default 16 by 9, I will choose tooltip size. Okay, then what I prefer to do, going to view, and under page view, choose actual size. Why I'm doing this? Because it will help me to build my visualizations in proportions to real size of the tooltip page. So I will also make this page hidden, so my users don't see it when they open the report. And one last step is to instruct Power BI that we want to use this page as a tooltip page. So I'm going to page information, and I will just toggle on this tooltip property. Okay, now Power BI knows that we want to use this page as a tooltip page. I'll revert it to off for the moment. And let me show you tooltip pages I already created. So I have this one, tooltip regions, which basically consists of two visuals, simple card that shows total sales quantity and top 5 regions by sales amount in descending order. The other one is tooltip colors, which shows me top 5 colors for sales amount within every specific brand. Okay, so now I will go back to my main page, and here you see when I hover over the table, you see the default tooltip is being shown. Okay, so let's prepare our stuff. As I mentioned, go to page information, turn on this tooltip, and now Power BI knows that we want to use this page as a tooltip page. I'll do the same for tooltip colors, going again back to a main report. And now here, let me just zoom it a little bit, go to formatting pane, and under tooltip, instead of default, I will choose report page, and I will choose tooltip regions. Okay, So now when I hover over, let's say June, I see my tooltip page for consisting, which consists of data for June. Hover over August, you see that numbers are changing. So that works perfectly. Let's do similar for sales amount by brand name. Going again to a tooltip. And then instead of default, I'm choosing report page. This time tooltip colors, that's fine. Let's check for the wide world importers. We see that white, black, silver, okay. Going to Fabricam, we see different distribution of sales amount, so it also works fine. Why I created two tooltip pages? This one basically is not a regular tooltip page, so I will show you now why. Here under page size, instead of choosing default tooltip page size, you can also use a custom size, and you can enter whatever values you want for width and height in pixels. So basically you have freedom to create tooltip page size according to your needs. So feel free to play around with that. Okay, so now stick with me. I will give you one bonus tip, and it's really level pro. So first of all, credits go to Jason Cockington from acceleratorbi.com. Jason explained this trick in details, but I was really impressed with this technique, and I wanted to show you here today. So what it's all about. A lot of our report users are often unaware of some capabilities within Power BI and need some kind of guidance in order to use the report in its full capacity. So previously I was using this trick to instruct my users how to use drill through feature within Power BI. But since we recently got specific button action for drill through, this trick can be adjusted to assist in some other scenarios. So let's say I want to instruct my users to how to use analyze feature of the visual. You can see here, if I do the right click here, there is an analyze feature which is explaining the increase or decrease depending on the data within your visual. So, but default, this feature is not visible to users, and they need to right click on the visual and select analyze, etc., etc. So it's a little bit overwhelming and not so intuitive for them. Now I've just created a GIF containing all necessary steps, like a short video to perform analyze feature on this visual. There are a lot of free GIF creators on the web. Personally, I'm using ezgif.com. And of course, my GIF was already created before this session, so I will just walk you through the steps for creating an animated tooltip page using your GIF. So all steps remain the same as in the previous part of the demo. I will now use this newly created page. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to use in the page background property here. So I need to add an image. Let me just find my already created visual. Okay, it's here. Set transparency, that's important. Set transparency to 0 and the image fit to fill. Not fit, fill. Okay. Now you see here small animation on our tooltip page. Okay, going back to our main report, and here you see this small question mark, which now shows default tooltip, so aggregated value for our August 2009. Now I want to use my tooltip page, so when the user hovers over this small question mark, he sees animation which instructs him how to use analyze feature. Okay, going to formatting pane, and then going to a visual header tooltip, you see here, and I will choose, sorry, one thing that's important I forgot to tell Power BI that we want to use this report page as a tooltip page. So now going back again to formatting, and under visual header tooltip, yeah, I will choose this page one. And now when I hover over the question mark, I see nice little animated instruction, so my user knows what he can do with this visual. One more thing which is quite important here, don't get crazy with creating too many of of those tooltip pages, especially those with the animations. Yeah, because it will affect overall report performance or cause longer rendering time. So as I often like to say, try to find right balance between giving your users enhanced experience and additional overhead, which can be caused by overusing some of the non-standard techniques. Okay, so any questions so far? Is everything clear? Okay, okay, great, great. So we can continue. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, okay, thanks. Going forward then, number 4 is turning plain old matrix to a custom-like visual. Well, this trick is so simple and yet powerful that, yeah, I thought it's well worth spending some time and including it in this session. So first of all, I have to admit that Power BI has extremely large collection of visuals, both built-in and especially custom visuals from AppSource Marketplace. And one of the built-in visuals that is frequently used is plain old matrix. I like to say all of us who are old enough to use and used to work with the SQL Server reporting services, we have really fond memories of matrix, and yeah, it was a key pillar of our reports in the past. And matrix as a visual was underrated in Power BI for a long time. So even well-known expand collapse functionality was enabled just less than a year ago, I think somewhere in the end of 2019. One question, do you recognize this illustration here? For those who are not aware, it's from Google Analytics dashboard. It's quite simple, but at the same time powerful. It gives you quick insight in most relevant trends. So, however, believe it or not, Power BI doesn't offer out-of-the-box visual that would bring exactly the same or even similar experience. So therefore, I will now show you how you can transform plain old matrix visual to something like a heat map visual, but even more customized. So it should mimic the look and feel of this Google Analytics visual. As I like to say, when I'm demoing this trick, after we are done, you can freely say that you created your own custom visual. Well, enough talk, it's showtime again. Let's head over to Power BI Desktop. Okay, so let's say that our business request is to show total sales amount per month for every single brand. But that's pretty common business scenario, I would say. So I have matrix visual here on canvas, and I have sales amount. I have months as columns and brands as rows. And as you can notice, there are a lot of numbers, but it's really hard to spot any trends, any patterns without spending some additional time to going into more deeper analysis. Okay, so let's go to work. We go to formatting pane, and under conditional formatting, I will choose to format background color property. Okay, so Power BI automatically applied some gradual coloring, but I want to customize it to follow the overall design of my report. So I'm going here to advanced controls. Okay. And I'm choosing the color scale which better suits me. So from this light blue to this dark blue. Okay, so you can see that the background color of the cells changed to reflect differences in the numeric values in the background, but numbers are still there. So what we are going to do now is to apply exactly the same formatting for our font color, going again to advanced controls and choosing exactly the same color pattern. bam, so we don't have numbers anymore. And yeah, it's like a heat map visual, as you see, so it's not reminds of plain old matrix anymore, and that's really cool. So basically this way we enabled our users to easily spot that, for example, Contoso and Fabricam sales are rocking between May and July, and the worst month of Contoso, which is January, is better than the best month of all other brands except Fabricam. So the most important thing, we could easily spot those trends in literally 2 seconds without going any deeper into analysis, without going any deeper into the numbers itself. Of course, numbers are still there, and if you want to check some specific values, tooltip will work as a charm. So you can see that, for example, if I hover over July for Contoso, you can see that it has 18,360,000 something for sales amount. In all fairness, I need to say, don't blindly use this trick for every matrix in your report, as there will still be many more scenarios where you want to stick with traditional way of displaying data. However, you will definitely face some situations when this technique can be beneficial. And if you ask me, when would I use this technique? I would say in wide matrices with a lot of numbers like this one we just saw here in this example. And applying this trick in those situations would definitely enrich your user's experience. Okay, going back to presentation. So far, so good, I hope. Next thing I would like to talk about is using bookmarks to fulfill some specific business requests. For those of you who are not familiar, bookmarks are one of the favorite and most used features in Power BI. Basically, what bookmark does, it captures the current state of the report, so you can use it as a reference in your actions through buttons, images, shapes, whatever. And basically, that will give you a possibility to create an app-like experience for your Power BI report and make it look more interactive. So there are really dozens of use cases where you can apply bookmarks, but here today I will focus on a specific problem. And I would say it's a frequent problem, and I can assure you that sooner rather than later you will face it during your report designing process. Okay, so what's the problem? We created our nice little Power BI report. Everything looks fine. We have our 2, 3, 4 slicers on the page. So far, so good. But one day our users want to have additional slicer for, let's say, brand category. No problem. I will make slicers, my existing slicers, smaller and secure space for the new one. Then after a month or two, our users want to have one more slicer. Then after another month or two, one more slicer, etc., etc. I think you're getting the point. And so what should we do when we simply can't accommodate all requested slicers on our report page? Well, first option is to tell our users to choose which slicers are the most important for them, and then just simply discard others. Just kidding, of course, you shouldn't do that. We can create a separate report page which will contain slicers only, and that's also a legitimate solution. Or we can create a slicer pane which will hold all of our slicers on the existing report page, and we will be able to show or hide this slicer pane depending on user's choice. If you don't trust me, let's head over to Power BI Desktop and I will show you how some clever usage of bookmarks and actions can make you a real Power BI hero. Okay, so you see here that I have 2 slicers, and that's fine. I will just multiply this slicer so we can get a realistic picture of our problem. And you see that it's getting crowded here. So I forgot, but first thing you need to do when working with bookmarks is to turn on these bookmarks and selection panes, so you get full control about what is happening in your report. And I will just drag this below the shape. Okay, so now I will insert my 2 icons. It's menu icon. I already prepare, of course, those icons, so we don't spend additional time on this. And I will make it a little bit smaller and put it here. So this icon will be used to navigate to expand my slicer pane, and another one is for closing my slicer pane, so for collapsing it. Let's make it smaller, that's fine. Okay, now that's how I want my report to look like when the slicer pane is expanded. Therefore, now I will go here to Bookmarks, see here, click on Add. You may want to turn off data properties so that slicers aren't reset when users switch views by selecting a bookmark. And I will rename it and give it some meaningful name. So let's call it slicer pane expanded. Okay. Need to unzoom. Okay, so next thing we need to do is to define the report look when our slicer pane is collapsed. How do we do this? By just simply hiding visuals we don't want to see in this other bookmark. So I will hide all of my slicers. Okay, I will hide my shape, and I will hide not this one, this one. So this is how my report page will look like when the slicer pane is collapsed. Let's do the same as previously. I'm going to add, turn off data, and let's call it slicer pane collapsed. Okay. And the last thing we need to do is to define actions for our images so that we can use those icons as navigation between the bookmarks. So for this menu, I'm going here to action, turn that on. For type, I'm choosing bookmark, and then I am choosing slicer pane expanded. Okay. Now when I click on it, my slicer pane shows on the report, and let's do the opposite for this close window icon. Again, going to action, turn it on, type bookmark, and slicer pane collapsed. Now when I click on it, it will collapse my slicer pane. Click here to expand, click here to collapse. So as you saw, we push filtering experience to a whole new level just by using bookmarks in our reports. And yeah, your users will love you because you supplied all the slicers they wanted, but you also save space on your report to accommodate more visuals or to give existing ones a little more space. Okay, going back to presentation. Drill through like a pro using buttons. Yeah, so first of all, drill through action is a relatively new feature in Power BI. And in March this year, it was announced as a preview feature. And since May 2020, it became generally available. And I must admit, I really consider this as a huge thing, since I really have a lot of users who are not aware of drill through feature at all. So previously, they needed to right click on the visual and choose to drill through to a specific page, which was not so intuitive. So I had to create a different workarounds. And if you recall our demo for animated tooltips, that was one of the workarounds and solutions to point user into the direction of using drill through. But now having specific drill through action enabled for our buttons with little decks and with proper formatting, we can dynamically set properties of the buttons and create really awesome experience for our users. And awesome experience in most cases means that your users will love you. So again, it's show time. Let's go to Power BI Desktop to see how this works in reality. Okay, so first thing we need to do is to turn off this selection bookmarks pane because we don't need it for this demo. I will insert one blank button, and I just need to do some basic formatting. For button text, at the moment I will just put open drill through page. We will customize this later. And since my button will be blue, I changed the font color. Okay, so I want, let's say, this blue. Okay, and let's make it a little bit rounded. Okay, so it looks better now. Okay, so yeah, so next thing we need to do is because we will have multiple different drill through pages in the report, and we want the idea is to give users possibility to choose what kind of details they would like to see. So not only one drill through option, but two, and they will dynamically switch between them. So I need to create a small table which will hold data about my drill through pages. I will go to enter data. So again, creating custom table, and I will call it drill through pages. Again, I will need two columns, ID and page. ID, again, just to repeat, basically it's not necessary to use it here, but it can come handy if you want to order your data different than alphabetically. And the most important thing, so I already created my two drill through pages, sales amount color and sales amount brand. So here in your table, these page names need to match exactly with the name of the pages you already created. So sales amount color and sales amount brand. Okay, I will load this table into a data model. Let's create one simple measure here using DAX. Okay, so I will call it selected page, and it equals, it's just a string value. We will use it to dynamically format our button text. So I will use selected value DAX function. Value, okay, and drill through pages page, okay. Now let's move slicer to a report canvas. Here I will put page as a value, and I will make it single select only. I will explain why. So now we have slicer which will catch the user selection, which kind of detail he wants to see. So let's now go to the button, and within button text we have this small fx button. I will format it so based on field, drill through pages, selected page, okay. And now you see that it shows me open sales amount brand because sales amount brand is the page selected within the slicer. As soon as I switch the value to sales amount color, you see here that my button dynamically adjusted text within, so we can play around and check, yeah, that works fine. Okay, so then we need to define action of our button. Going to action, turn it on, and this type you can recall that we use for a bookmark as a type in previous demo. Here we can use drill through, and again going to this fx button, format by field value, and I will now use my page. So I want to be navigated to a page. We will leave default summarization first. Okay, so since we defined user selection to one value exclusively within a slicer by turning select single select on, we don't need to worry. So whatever user selects, this will be the first and only selection. That's why we are fine with this default first summarization. One thing that you can notice is that our button became grayed out. That means that it's in disabled state. So our user can assume that it doesn't do anything. Okay, so as you see here, we have in our table default tooltip, and when I click on this value here, my button becomes blue, so it's ready for action. I click on it, and I will be navigated to a drill through page called sales amount brand, which shows me sales amount for May 2009. Going back, my button is again grayed out, so by default it's grayed out. doesn't do anything. Okay, so when I click on October, so as soon as I select single value, my button is ready for action. So when I click on it, I will see numbers for October. Okay, so let's now check for sales amount color. Okay, again, by default, it's grayed out. I'm clicking on Wide World Importers. Button became blue. I click on it and I see sales amount by color for Wide World Importers. Going back, again, my button is disabled until I click somewhere here in this visual. I will click on Contoso. My button is blue again. Click on it and I'm seeing sales amount by color for Contoso brand. So as you saw with some basic decks, we were able to dynamically format our button, and with tweaking button actions, we enabled our users to navigate through multiple drill-through pages. And at the same time, we avoided the complexity of creating and maintaining multiple bookmarks. And that's the most important thing here in this scenario. Okay, we are slowly closing to an end, but before we go to questions, I would also like to show you one more trick with the bookmarks. As I already mentioned, there are literally infinite numbers of use cases for bookmarks, and it's more than obvious in some situations where out-of-the-box solutions are not enough. So what's the challenge here? By default, card visuals are static. They are displaying some data value and that's it. But what if I tell you that we can make them dynamic, and even more with some little tweaking, again, taking advantage of using bookmarks, we can transform them to regular visuals and use them for cross-filtering. So last show time of the session just starts. Well, here, instead of starting from scratch and explaining every single step in details, I will walk you through this demo in the opposite direction, so from the end to beginning. And here is our final solution with all required functionalities already in place. So if I click on this plus sign, I will see sales quantity broken down by year and month. Same happens for sales amount. So I will see sales amount broken down by year and month. And this big plus sign in the middle will show me both those additional visuals at the same time. Okay, so let me now show how I build this. Going here, and first thing, under View tab, turn on Bookmarks and Selection Panes because you will definitely need it. Here I already created my bookmarks because there are a lot of them, and we will need a lot of time to build everything from scratch. But let's go through all the steps so you will understand what's being done here. So I will show all of my items on the report. That's it. Okay. Now I need to format the report page and define how it will look like when my sales quantity card is expanded. So I will hide this minus all. I will hide my minus sales. And I need to show quantity rectangle. Therefore, I don't need this. And I need minus quantity, and this visual is also needs to be hidden. So this is how my report will look like when only sales quantity card is expanded. So this is quantity expanded. Update this bookmark. Then let's do a similar thing for our sales amount card. So I will now switch. Oh, no, this stays the same, sorry. So I will switch for the sales amount, and I will switch for the quantity. And I need to hide this and show this. Okay, so this is how my report will look like when the sales amount card is expanded. So this is sales expanded. Okay, and finally I need to define the report look when both of my additional visuals are on the canvas. So let's switch this. Let's switch this. And let me show all of my visuals. That's it, I think. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so this is how my report look like when both of additional visuals are here. So quantity and sales expanded. Okay, and let me check if actions are defined. yeah, they're already defined. So you just need to play with the actions and specify to which bookmark every of those icons will navigate. Okay, so now let's check if everything works as expected. If I click on this sales quantity, I will see sales quantity broken down by year and month. If I click on sales amount, I will see sales amount values broken down by year and month. And finally, if I click here in the middle, I will see both of my additional visuals on the reports. And what's the key benefit here? You can use those visuals as a regular ones. So if I click here on, for example, March, it will cross filter all other visuals in my report. And basically, yeah, as you saw in one of the previous demos, you can also give your users more insight by using tooltip pages, and that's also a legitimate solution. But tooltip pages are static. You cannot interact with them. And here we have shown how clever usage of bookmarks can transform static card visual basically to dynamic visual. And even more, these extended visuals, as we saw here, can be used like regular ones for cross-filtering or drilling down. And that is the thing I consider as the greatest advantage of this trick. Okay, again, any questions? I'm looking forward to hearing them. Yeah, sure.
All right, everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everybody, and thanks again for attending today's session. Magnificent 7 simple tricks to boost your Power BI report. So we're reaching here at an end, and yeah, we do have a couple questions. I'm going to start here from, we have a request from, he wants to know if you can share the site you use to create the GIFs. Remember, you made a reference to your site with.
Sure.
So he'll like.
I'll type it in the chat window.
All right.
So
Let's go for another question. We have another question here from Fernando Calero, and he's asking, Nicola, how do you suggest using drill through, but preventing that is applied to one chart with the measure selected included, but not any other chart with that same measure? Does it make sense to you there? Is it clear? You want me to repeat?
Yeah, I can read it also. Is it in chat?
Yes, it is.
Aha, let me read it. How do you suggest using drill through but preventing that is applied to one chart with measures selected included? I should need to check on this. Really don't know from top of my head.
No problem. So
I will check on this and get back with the answer.
all right, Fernando, we will follow up on this. Please, we have on the comment section, we have the user groups there. Make sure that you subscribe to our meetup channel, and then just send us the question, and we will follow up with you when Nicola gets back to us. All right.
But that's a great question. Thanks, Fernando.
Yeah. And thanks for the question. All right, let's take a look here. Another question. Thank you, Gina, for the question. The question: what helps you decide when you think a report will benefit from tooltips, chart, or extra bookmark actions? That's a question from Gina. And thank you, Gina, for the question.
Thanks, Gina, for the question. It depends on the visual itself, and it depends on the business request, and it depends from whom I get the request. So, for example, I give you the real use case in our company. When I'm getting requests from, let's say, marketing team, they strive to see something nice, and they are using tooltip pages a lot because they don't want to go to drill through. They just want to hover over and see everything, with those nice colors and everything. But for example, when we're doing reports for financial department, then the numbers are the number one, and they are not so interested in having a lot of charts, a lot of colors, a lot of everything. So they are like more traditional guys. And but from my point of view, it mostly depends on the visual itself and the story that I want to tell. Sometimes you don't have enough space in one visual to tell everything you want. So then in those situations, I'm using tooltip pages to like expand my story.
All right.
Hope that this helps.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, folks, take a minute. Ask your question there. Let us know. In the meantime, real quick, take a minute also to do you like the presentation? Give us a like, comment. If you are not a subscriber, take a minute to subscribe so you are able to post your question on the chat channel here, on the chat of the channel here. Also, please share with your friends and hope that you can also be part of our next presentation. We will be posting soon enough. If you click the bell once you're a subscriber, you will get a notification just by clicking the bell when you're a subscriber. All right, let's take a look again on any more questions here, folks. All right, no question here. And Carlos, thank you very much for the question. Fernando and Gina, thank you all very much for the question. I just like to remind again, take a minute to like, subscribe to the channel, share, and comment. How about you, Nikola? Do you have any more questions, last minute thoughts, or you want to share?
Before I leave, I would like to thank to South Florida Power BI user group, to all attendees, especially to you, Adriano, and to Intellinsight for having me tonight or this afternoon. Sorry, in your part of the planet. Many thanks to all attendees. Really appreciate your feedback, and hope to see you soon. And all the best. Stay safe.
All right. Hey, we also, in the name on behalf of the South Florida Power BI user group and the Intellinsight as well, we all like to thank you for making the time for the presentation. I know it's late for you, and also, coming in and sharing the knowledge with us. We all really appreciate. And I also like to take the opportunity to thank everyone who is attending the presentation. The video will be present here, so you can come back, take a look later on. Also, do not hesitate, share with your friends, highlight the section, and drop a comment below. Let us know which trick and or tip did you like the most. That will be pretty cool to see which one people like the most. So remember, take a minute. You'll be able to review the video later on today and or another time. And drop us a comment. Let us know. I'm quite curious and interested about your feedback. I'm quite sure Nikola feels the same way.
Exactly.
All right, so let's take a look at here. Any more questions? No, we are good. So, on behalf of the South Florida Power BI and our supporter Intellinsight and Nova Southeastern University, we would like to thank Mr. Nikola Ilic for making the time and come over and participate here with us. Also, the attendees, we really appreciate your help. And, we are coming to an end here, folks. And appreciate it. Have a the good end of the day here for everyone, whether it's night, afternoon, or day for you there. Anything else there, Nicola?
No, just one more time. It was a pleasure to present for South Florida Power BI user group, and many thanks again.
All right. Awesome. Folks, thank you very much. And I will see you all on our next presentation. That will be now September. We will stay tuned. We will post it on our next presenter. Take care, you all. And thank you very much, Nicola. Just hang around for a second here, Nicola. And everybody else, thank you all. Bye-bye.
Sure. Enjoy your
Have a
day,
great
people.
one.
All the best.
All right, senor.